Well, we are back. Had a little bit of a bumpy one just then. Streamed for like 15 minutes, but we had various issues and I couldn't get DLSS to appear as an option, which was pretty much a must-have for this because I want everything to be on Ultra and I want the frame rate to be consistently at 60. That was not the case. I was getting... it was just I'll probably say between 30 and 40, but I'm streaming at 60, so I needed to bump that up. Now, new patches just came out today, so that might have been the cause of the slight dip in the FPS, because the patch purely is focusing on the graphical elements of the game in terms of improving them. We're getting refraction, we're getting screen space save, what is it? Screen space reflections, I think it is. Basically where things look nice and reflective and all that sort of stuff. Lighting's been improved. DLSS has been added, which is great if you've got an RTX card. Actual gameplay changes, I think they're fairly minimal. I know, like, for databases like transfer and stuff like that now, but I typically build ground bases, so it's not too much of a thing for me, but I'm sure for other players that'll be a big plus. VR players are saying that DLSS basically makes the game completely, like, unbelievably phenomenal performance-wise now, so thrilled for anybody who is a VR player and who wants to experience this in VR. DLSS makes that even better because the performance should be better. So, without further ado, we're going to jump in. Now, one of the things that I am quite a stickler on when it comes to No Man's Sky, I've played a lot of No Man's Sky. These are just 4 of my saves from 2020. I've played this game since launch. I've deleted a lot of saves. I typically start a new game every single time there's a new update, and chances are I'll just delete a bunch of these saves, if not all of them. That playtime will be in hours, by the way, so that probably accumulates to around about 70, 80 hours. I've actually got about almost 500 hours in this game. It's one of these games that I constantly come back to, and I mean, the fact it's constantly updating does help with that, but it's at the same time one of them games where when you've had a break from it for a while, you get a bit of an itch to come back and jump in and just do what you've done before, because it's actually really fun to do. I'm a huge supporter of this game, and I actually have been since day one. I think it helped that I didn't look into the interviews that Sean was given. I didn't look into what the different features were meant to be. I just watched the E3 trailer and I was like, I'll play that. That was it. That was my expectation going into the game. And yes, there were certain things that perhaps were missing as when you compared it with the trailer, but it was pretty minimal when you compared it with the differences between the interview and the game. Now, best thing I can advise is, if you're not quite clear on the history, if you're new to it, or if you want reassurance as to where the game is now as opposed to where it was, the Internet Historian did a brilliant video on it that Sean actually shared and said to watch it. There's a certain part of the video that I think Sean was a little bit uncomfortable with, but it's well worth a watch. It's a long video. I think it's about an hour, but it's an hour that doesn't feel like an hour. You're watching it and you get sucked into it, and it's brilliant. It's a superb video, so please do watch it if you haven't done already. And it really does describe the state of the game now as opposed to perhaps when it came out. There was no held punches, like he went into all the details about what was basically the expectation at launch versus what the actual thing was, but thankfully that's what he starts with, and it ends with where it is now, or at least where it was when that came out. Anyways, so we are looking at the different game modes. Expeditions I've never touched. They're one of the new things that have just been added. I might look at Expeditions at another point. I've heard they're actually really good, but I've not touched them. They basically are I don't want to say like a hold your hand experience, but it's a more guided experience as opposed to a sandbox experience where you just get put on a random planet and it's your job just to go from there. That's the aspect that I actually love about this game, just being able to go somewhere that I've not, like, nowhere, no other person has discovered. That's my planet. That's where I'm starting. Find your ship, work your way up and go. Expeditions, I think, are a little bit more fast-paced. And the idea is you have to get to a certain objective before it finishes, because they're timed. After a certain amount of time, the expedition's no longer available, and I assume that the rewards from that expedition are also lost as that expedition is finished. You've got survival. Again, that might be a game mode I'm open to in a different stream. Normal is the one we're going to be playing, just so that you guys know. Permadeath, again, it might be fun to do a permadeath trying to get to the centre of the galaxy. But I've never done a permadeath in a game before. Almost did it in Minecraft, but then decided against it. I think I'd just be gutted losing all that progress, but it might be something that I do. Final footnote before we jump in. All of these images here, these are actually all images that like people have taken in game using the photo mode, and by sharing up, typically on the subreddit, Sean tends to find them and puts them on his Twitter, and he's ended up using a bunch of them as the backgrounds for these different game modes, and I think that's brilliant. I love that he's not hired someone to take these photos. These are community photos, and I think that's a really, really nice little touch as to just how much the community means to Sean and Hello Games. They've been very outspoken about the fact that they're not charging a single penny for a single update is heavily driven by the fact that there's so much community support for this game. People are buying this game constantly. I own technically 3 copies, but one of which is on Games Pass, so that doesn't really count. But I've got 2 PC copies. I made a new Steam account when I started doing the streaming, so that it's separated from my main Steam account. And family sharing allows you to play the same games on different Steam accounts. However, multiplayer games don't typically tend to be shared, and No Man's Sky was one of them. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy it. It's 50% off at the moment because the new updates came out. It typically goes through a sale when a new update does come out. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to buy another. Reserve it. So that's what I've done. Even though I've got a Games Pass copy as well, the previous stream, for whatever reason, I couldn't get a DLSS option to appear. That option has now appeared for me, and it's enabled, and now it's as smooth as butter. I mean, I'm looking at it there. I'm looking at it on the preview screen, and it's, yeah, that's perfect. I've set the max FPS to 60. I'll definitely be capable of getting well above that on this rig, but I don't want to risk any stream issues if it's streaming at a super high. I don't actually know what happens if you're streaming at too high an FPS, so I've just thought, you know what, I'll keep it at 60 and it'll still look great. All the settings are on Ultra. I've not turned anything down. Everything is on max. The only things I've turned off are the Vignette. Is it just the Vignette? I think it may be chromatic aberration as well. Basically, the scan lines that are at the top of the screen, I've removed them. I've also gone ahead and turned off motion blur. I do so for every single game I play. The final thing I'm going to turn off that I completely forgot to turn off before is the hold to confirm. So that's disabled, and that's it. I've toned up the field of view, so we've got a bit more space to play with. I might change it to first person. I'll decide at a later point. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and get started with the new game in the Prisms update. So let's get started. In just a moment, I'm going to just change the HUD size to, I think 70% might be okay. No, let's go 80, and then I think that That'll be the sweet spot. It says you need to restart, but it's applying it, you can see. Right, cool, that's fine. So let's activate the scanner. Okay, we need ferrite dust. So, as I said earlier, I am super experienced in this game, but I will explain things as I go along. So, ferrite dust you can find in just these rocks that are knocking about in the environment. So let's just get this first rock. The mining speeds and all that sort of stuff, you can upgrade that. That's all stuff that you can upgrade at later stages in the game. So let's just gather some ferrite dust. So got some from there. Just waiting for the little icon up here. These will be mineable. I've not actually played this since the companions were released as well, so we'll definitely get a little companion to explore with us on our adventures. But as it stands just now, I'm gonna wait until I find the right companion that which I'm happy to wait a little bit for. I'll be playing the game also without mods, so there will be it'll just be basically a run without any sort of third-party mod installed. Okay, so we're ready to well, not upgrade, but repair our scanner. So multi-tool, and then scanner. We don't actually quite have enough ferrite dust just yet, so we need to get 75. So let's find a couple more rocks. We'll get them sorted. It takes me a while to switch to the right stick being sprint, because usually it's the left stick. I do typically change it, but I think for now we'll be okay.
Extreme heat damage detected.
Right, I need sulfur, and I need it quite quickly. Let's get this repaired now. This will allow us to scan for sulfur, which we have none of nearby. Sodium, even. Comes up as NA, as you can see in the bottom right corner. I don't look as though I've got very lucky. The scanner's not quite used yet, so in the bottom right you can see the icons for the different things that are currently being used. Now, I'm a little bit conscious here that we're losing health super rapidly. But there's nothing I can do about it because we don't have any sulfur to be able to stop taking damage. We've not had a lucky spawn here whatsoever. Scanners recharging. Oh, sulfur. Oh. Right, we've got some over here. Right.
Extreme heat critical.
Never. First death. I don't usually die in this, and I don't know why it's gone. That's DLSS, I think, doing that. No, before. What DLSS does is it makes the game smaller and then bigger using AI, but the bigger version of the game is actually like a really detailed version of the game. Anyways, I've got a new title, Son of the Reckless, so we are... It's a good job this wasn't a permadeath run, or else that would have been a pretty short experience. Not even on survival. Honestly, I think the previous save, I don't think I've done that in the previous save, but it's not survival, so it wasn't exactly like the biggest flex I can do. Right. Where are you, Sodium? I was going this way because it said there was some over here, but not to worry. There's some just over this hill, and then we can finally move on. So here we go. Sodium rich plant. Recharge the hazardous material, but I'm not going to do so... Well, actually, the quest actually needs me to, so I'll do that to progress it, but we thankfully have another... So just over here.
Starship signal detected.
That'll be my starship. Got what's in here. These will probably help us early game. get rid of the rusted metal and see what we get in here. Sometimes you can find like super upgrades and stuff, so it's definitely worth giving them a quick look if you haven't done already. There's my grave. Go to the grave, you can get your stuff back, but I don't really think that much, so I'll head over and use it just so I can get whatever I did have back. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't much. Got to be a little bit careful. Jumping. I don't want to lose too much health. Right, let's just these again. Kinda got a plan in mind for the path I'm gonna kind of take at the start of the game, and I'll walk you through it as I go through the different parts. So, but first things first, we're just following the tutorials to get this stuff sorted. Okay, this is our first interaction with what is the Atlas entity of sorts. There is a story in this game. I think it takes a while to finish the story. Maybe about 30 hours or something. But a lot of that's travelling around and going to different planets and all that sort of thing. So, as opposed to dialogue and going into like mission zones where you have to do linear quests and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really do that at all. It's much more open. But you learn things as you go along. So here's our ship. We won't be able to fly it just yet. There's the Atlas connection. Okay, repair ship systems. Okay, pulse engine. So, need a hermetic seal and metal plating. So let's get out the ship. Now, the metal plating I believe we can already construct with ferrite dust because we've got the recipe, but the hermetic seal we don't. So first things first, let's get some more ferrite dust. We're probably going to need quite a bit. Now we'll stay close to our ship because when our hazard protection starts to fall quite significantly, we can jump back in our ship and that will allow us to restore that. Now you mine faster the more the meter in the top right corner is filled, sort of like a heat usage filter. Your tool actually becomes more efficient the more it's used. So we'll give it a moment just to get this dust gathered up. And once we've done this sort of stuff, we'll get a good idea as to what sort of graphical changes have been made, because ultimately we're not going to see too much just now. These sort of plants, however, will give us things like volumetric lighting, but it'll be much more apparent at night time when them lights come out in a lot more vibrance. And when we visit a space station, we'll be able to see the reflections a lot more clearly, and yeah, there should be quite a lot of that changed at that point. Great stuff. So we've got the ferrite dust, and we'll get a little bit more. Some of these we won't be able to mine just yet. We need to get an advanced mining laser to do that stuff. doesn't take too long to get it, but it's certainly not something that you get straight away, so we'll just ignore it for now. Just gather a couple of things just riding through here. A bit conscious that we need quite a few metal sheets, which is why I'm collecting so many different bits of ferrite. Now thankfully the carbon's quite abundant here, so we should be taking full advantage of that. Should be enough. Right, but it's getting darker. You can see now that the landscape's starting to change colour. The sun starts to dip down over the horizon. And things like when you get resources on the ground like copper, just like that, you need the terrain manipulator to be able to get that stuff, which again is not something you get straight away, but again not too far in the future, so similar to the advanced mining laser. But we'll focus on the things we can do for now. Now these things here, the buried technology modules, we will absolutely pick up when I've got the terrain manipulator, but for now don't necessarily need to worry about them too much. Okay, first big change here, and I can tell you it looks a lot better. The night sky. I mean, before you could barely see any stars, whereas now it's like an actual... You're looking out at a proper star field, which looks amazing. Obviously they didn't want to overpopulate it too many stars, but the stars are, I would say, are accurate to what you would see in the galaxy view, which we'll see at a later stage. So I think that looks so much better. And one of the biggest things that drew me to this game way back when it was first released was the fact that I can look at this planet over here and I can go to that planet seamlessly. Like once I'm actually flying, that is, but it shouldn't take too long for us to gather the required materials to fly. Now where did I leave my spaceship? I won't be too far away. Let's just have a look. Ooh, we've actually got a one of the modules is spawned above the ground over here. This does happen. I've seen it happen quite a lot. When they were basically from when they were introduced. It is a glitch. They're meant to be underground, but it's never really been fixed. But that's a treat for us because these, and again, it doesn't take long before you can actually mine these anyway, but these are worth, as you can see, I can sell them for 156,000 units. At this stage in the game, that's a lot. That seriously is a lot of units. And it makes doing stage 2 of my money-making process, I'll call it, much easier. Right, let's get the this installed. So we need to make carbon nanotubes, which we can, and we need to fix the scanner, or is it install it first? No, we need to install it. And there we go. So now we've got a scanner. So if I hold LT, you'll see we've got this scanner just here. So there's the starship there. Now, what we can also do now is scan like life forms. So if I scan this, I'll get some credits, 1,600. But also like a discovery menu pop up, I'll just scan them, this thing here as well. Now, for some reason, it's, if I go to discoveries, I've got the fauna here. So here's the little things that we're discovering. So it gives it a name. Got this one as well. That's the one that we've just looked at. And you can read the descriptions. You can see that these are actually both rare, the ones that we've got. If you manage to get all of them, all of the fauna for the planet, which there's 6 on this planet, you can complete it and get a currency called nanites. Now, nanites are very important for when you're looking to upgrade things later on the Nexus, which we'll see at a certain point during this broadcast. So for now, I am just heading back to my ship. I'm going to take this out because it's going to keep hitting me if I don't. Now, where was my ship? Got another thing over here. You can zoom in, scan it. Now I'm starting to run low on my hazard protection, so I'd rather find my ship sooner than later. There it is. Right, so if I just jog over here, we're not too far away. I'd rather...
Extreme heat damage detected.
We should be okay. I was gonna be tempted to use it, but as long as the protection on the top left doesn't reach the bottom level, we'll have enough to regenerate whilst we're in the ship, which we're going to. So, wait a second just to crawl back up. You can see it in the bottom left corner, just increasing. The meter below it, the life hazard protection, we'll need to use some oxygen to be able to repair that, which we can also do. We've also got a health pack. I think we picked up from one of the chests that we walked past, so we can use that as well to boost that up, which I think we will in a moment. Right, so let's hop out the ship. And use that. Right, there we go. So, first thing we need to do is create some metal plating. So I don't know how many it needed, so we'll just make the one for now, and then install it on here. It's then going to, I'm fairly certain, the next stage of the quest is it tells us to go somewhere to get the blueprint for this hermetic seal. So we need to go back to the starship first, which we'll do right now. Oh, lovely. I much prefer using the PlayStation controller. I completely forgot that I switched from the Microsoft Games Pass version to the Steam version, so thankfully Steam has built-in PlayStation support, so I request assistance. Great stuff. So now it's going to tell us to find this hermetic seal. I'm just going to change the control options and remap controls, and then configure gamepad via Steam. It's a little bit finicky, this bit, so just bear with me while I get this sorted. Zoom, run, pick up. Right. Apologies, this will just take a moment. I'm going to make this one scan instead. And then this one is going to be run. Trying to remember what else was in that one. So it was sprint. I think it was zoom as well, but I can change that to the other one. You know what? We'll keep it as that for now. So I've set it to run. I know you can't see what I'm doing because this is reverted to Steam just now. So apologies. Just bear with me 2 moments. Scan, multi-button, and then also show. There was one more, I think, that it needed. I think it was zoom, wasn't it? So that one as well. Great. Scan and zoom. Yeah. There's one more option that I've forgotten. But now I run when I hit left bumper, which just feels natural. Okay. Next step in the quest was to head to this recipe and it'll scan and tell us where we need to go. Vibrations feel a lot better in the PlayStation controller. Yeah, look at the nice car. So much better. So much better. Planetary chart received, so let's plot a route. Hopefully it's not too far away. And it'll say now, right, so it's under 1,000, so it shouldn't take too long to get there. I'm collected with this stuff, because I don't, like, this is going to be something that we're going to need later on, so I may as well grab it whilst we're going past. And the best way to do this is let the meter fill out to full, and then sort of like feather it. So don't let it quite hit the max, because if you let it do that, it hits overheat, and then the overheat will cool the weapon down all the way to the end. And when it cools down to the end, you do not get it. Basically, you have to build it back up again. So the best way to do it is to feather it slightly. Just realised that my hazard protection. Oh wait, no. I'm not sure why that meter in the top right is empty, or what that relates to, but it's empty, so who knows. Okay, so we are about a quarter of the way there now. Get these as well. Just reduce that slightly. Yeah, the vibration feedback's brilliant. Like, this is probably the best I've felt the vibration feedback in a PlayStation controller on the PC. I know Metro Exodus recently did something with it to allow for the haptic triggers and stuff to be activated, which felt really good, but vibration-wise, this has been the best I've felt in a game. Usually it's just really sharp vibrations, as opposed to something that feels more positional. This is feeling quite positional. I don't know if that's as of this update, or if that's just Steam doing a really good job of transferring the vibration input through to the controller. Either way though, really, really good. Just realising I'm covering a lot of the stuff in the bottom right corner. I didn't really want to move, so I was like here, but it might be necessary. So let me just shift myself and then jump back into the game. Kind of looks worse because now you can see a bit of it, but not all of it, and I don't want to be in the middle. I think the middle would look really strangely positioned. Stuff that appears in the top right. So I'm thinking the best place for me is probably going to be up here. But I think that might be quite in the way. Let's give it a go. Only one way to find out how that looks. I think that'll go. With it being a stream, I'm keen just to keep the stream analytical stuff on there just for anybody who is connecting. So apologies that I am taking up a big chunk. I'm just going to reduce the size of it all slightly. Just so it's not as big. And in turn, that'll reduce the size of me as well. Right. Here's my new home. Not as in the way, not as abrasive. There we go. I think that looks fine. That looks fine. Right. Self as well. There we go. Just so I'm looking at the screen as opposed to, so it's more natural. There we are. There's the hematic seal that it's been referring to. That's exactly what we were looking for. So let's go ahead and remind these we can. Condensed carbon, good stuff. Right, okay. We might already have enough for the hematic seal. We'll see. Strange feeling it's going to be the precursor to the quest to give us, well, to tell us how to use the extractor. We briefly saw it before. It was the little machine that kind of popped up, and you put stuff in the refiner. Sorry, not extractor. You put stuff into it, and it basically changes it. It's one of the billion things that are in this game. Yeah, this is the primary thing it focuses on. Just let my stamina head back up, and then we'll head through. Now, I'm not going to bother picking up anything just now. I'm going to just focus on allowing myself to get back to my ship. Anything that we probably are going to need is more than likely going to be available around the ship, so I'm not so concerned about getting the stuff just now. Let's just get back to the ship and then sort it out from there. honestly, like, when you go from playing a 30-hour save where you've got your jetpack and your sprint speed and all that stuff at like the maximum to go into a save where you've got absolutely no grades. It's it feels so strange. It feels like you're really tethered, but thankfully there's stuff that we can sort out later. Okay, here we go. So we're back at the ship now. So I mean, it's asking for us to put us in it, but we actually picked up a hermetic seal from that place. So that's the launch thrusters fixed. We also will have got the recipe for the hermetic seal, so that we'll be able to use that as well. So good to have. And now it's asking us to repair the launch thrusters with the hydrogen jelly. Now that's basically the blue stuff that we've been mining, so that's why I was mining that before, just to allow us to have the hydrogen jelly to install. Now we need pure ferrite, so this is where these little things come in. So if I go to, I think it's the up arrow, sorry, there we go. So little refiner. Now we need a metal plating, so I'll make one just now. And here's the refiner, so I'm just going to place that there. And this needs carbon to run, so I'm just going to throw some carbon in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place, not all of the ferrite, I'm going to put half of it in, so about 100 into that. And to change the amount that you have, you just hit up and down on the D-pad if you're on a controller. W and S is if you're on the keyboard. So let's just hoy 100 in. Begin. So you can see it's converting the ferrite into pure ferrite using carbon as a fuel. So once that's done, we'll take the pure ferrite out. Now that was a conversion rate of 1 and 1. So for every one that we put in, we get one out. Different materials have different outputs. So you might have to put, for example, if it's carbon, you might put 100 carbon in but only get 50 condensed carbon out. And that's how it balances in certain scenarios. Copper will turn into X amount of, I think it's the materialized, magnetic ferrite or something like that. It's been a while since I've last played, but it's the dark background one with the multicoloured ores on the front. So let's repair the launch thrusters. I think it's magnetic ferrite though. If not, it's magnetic something or other. Anyways, we, I believe, are now ready for takeoff at long last. So let's get in the sky. I'm just going to hop out my ship because that actually saves, and then take off into space. Just in case there's any crashes, just in case anything happens. Oh, hang on, just realised one of the things that I need to change. So, controls, and then I need inverted. Tethered inverted. Let's try that. Oh yeah, it's better. Cool. And left and right's fine. It's more just the general flying. I prefer having it so when I go down, it's more like I'm using like a HOTAS joystick, and it feels really natural. So here's our first glance at space in Prisms. So as you can see, there's a lot more stars in the sky, which I've already said is wonderful. So happy about that. Now we're not quite close enough to this to scan it just yet, but there we go. So we've got the flight system check done. Let's just scan this purple planet. Paradise planet, lovely. So potential start zone. Should be nice and pretty. Already got a name in mind as well. which we'll use when we get there. Nuclear planet. And finally, the scanner's much quicker at reloading. Don't know if this has been the case for a while. Salvageable scrap, interesting. So that's going to be quite a good moneymaker early game as well. So plenty of good options. We do have a communication coming in, so let's just take a listen. Or I say listen. We have to read, but still. We'll see what they have to say. Identify myself. Great. Input coordinate data. Please be on this purple planet. I would love for it to be there. It is. Lovely. That means that I think the majority of our initial objectives are going to be on this paradise planet, which is great news. I've sometimes had it where the game's been like, do you see that really, really toxic, hazardous planet with extreme weather conditions? We're going to start you off there. That's where you're going to do all your basic settling in quests. So, and I don't mean the find your ship quest. I mean the ones where you have to go to different signal sources and all that sort of stuff. And it's a little bit tougher when you're not on a nice planet, especially when it says, right, time to make your first base, and you're like, I really don't want to make my first base in an absolute like desolate planet, but sometimes it doesn't give you a choice. So we'll head through and we'll see what the planet's like. To be honest, from the description of the planet, there's a couple of telltale signs that it's going to be a nice planet. There's no activated material. If there's an activated material on a planet, that basically means that you're going somewhere with extreme weather. There's also no signs in that list of materials that are concerning, and it's called Paradise Planet, so fingers crossed this should be okay. It doesn't look as though it's got huge bodies of water, which is another thing you often find with planets. They have like huge amounts of water and then tiny bits of land, and then the quests they give you ask you to go to like an objective that's in the middle of the ocean. You have to go down underneath the ocean to be able to get it. So there's actually a meteor that's just landed here. Something they've added. Now, this was a thing before, but meteors and lightning strikes now have a chance of dropping valuable items when they land. So I'm just going to do a quick check just in case it did drop anything. But nothing's coming up from the scanner, so I'm going to assume that it didn't in this example. So anyways, this is a paradise planet, so you'll see we've got, I've not seen these before, that style of plants. That I'm not sure if that's new in this update. I know the fauna that light up, that came in, was it Visions or something, and that was, I absolutely loved that. I've seen these mushroom ones before, great. But that is the first I've seen that plant specifically. And we have our first furry fauna who is desperately running away from us. So let's see if we can create some creature palettes. But for some reason, oh, it's because I've got this plugged in, right. Can't quite make them yet. Right, no problem. So anyways, there's one of the pieces of fauna. Let's have a look at them in the other view. So you can see that there's the furry bits that they've added in this update. The fur was not a thing that was present on these animals before. Funky looking fella, but there we go. And our first taste of the different types. We've got this dude over here strutting his stuff. Some of these look like so much like random spore creatures where people make them as horrific as possible. But other ones look really good. Okay, so let's head back to the ship. And let's get this quest handed in. Okay, it's saying it's below the surface. Huh. Is it a cave, maybe? So you can drop down here. No. But it's definitely saying it's on the ground. Which is unusual. So let's just park up and out. Oh, I've never seen this before. Target aligned. I don't know when this was added. If this is this update or a different one. Oh, here we go. Finalising signal. Okay. And it's saying it's here. Right, perfect. I've never seen that before. Never. But, good to know it's there. So, I'm just going to claim the stuff that's in these little crates. And then let's decipher the signal. '16 is one of the big running themes in this game. Lovely. Well, I am more than happy to build a base on this planet. Because, I mean, you don't have to look at it for long to realise it's an absolute stunner. So let's get ourselves up on the top of this hill so we get a nice view from our base. This will be hunky-dory. We've got the nice planet there. We've got a nice nebula over there. And we have our glowing plants around us. So let's claim this bit as our base. We need chromatic metal, so I'm just going to plonk this here. Fill this back up with carbon. And I think we're going to need the terrain manipulator first, just to get some copper. So let's switch to multi-tool. Right, we need 2 carbon nanotubes and 1 hydrogen jelly. I'm looking forward to when eventually you can just craft the stuff from that. Cool. Plonk them in there. And then the carbon nanotubes. There we go. Oh, you need 2. No problem. Let me make you 1 more. And there we have it. We have our terrain manipulator. So we are now looking for copper. Cobalt. What's that icon mean? Subterranean relic. So that's a new icon for it. But they're just the vortex cubes, are they? I think that's what it was. Anyways, we're looking for copper. So there was another one in the distance over here. Cobalt again. And over here, cobalt. There's definitely copper on this planet because it said so in the flight menu when we were coming over. I'm getting the feeling that we're not near any. So we're going to have to hop in the ship and find some. Okay. Just while I do that, I'm just going to go into action mode just for a couple of minutes, and then I will be back straight after. So if you hang tight, guys, I will be back very shortly. Thanks. Okay, we are back in action. We need fuel, which I have tried in for. Oh wait, hang on. That was for the shields, never mind. Launch fuel. Metal plating.
Product constructed.
Here we go.
Technology recharge.
So we'll just fly somewhere random. Doesn't really matter where we go. Somewhere up high though, actually, because I want to get a nice view of the planet. So let's just fly up here. We'll build a top base. No. Oh, no, it's cobble, I think. Let's land somewhere here. There we go. Okay. Hopefully we'll get a bit more lucky this time. So, copper. Perfect. And what's this one? Catch back up a little bit. There we go. Floating tree there. There we go. Right, finally made it. So, just mine out copper, which we've already got enough to make the required chromatic metal with. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now we went up there. Why did I park my ship again? This is going to be a problem, isn't it? Right. I might just go up the top of this hill here, and then just spawn like a company. Accept knowledge. Perfect. Hey. Must have been over there somewhere, but not to worry. In fact, no, it's there. So we weren't too far away. This is the first time we'll be seeing the planet in the daytime as well, which is nice.
Suit power cells depleted.
And then we'll get a little bit higher up and get the base computer down.
Units received. Life support offline. Technology recharge.
Come on, keep going. There we go. And then just up this final hill. Perfect. Right. I assumed that was something. Yeah, cobble. Not to worry. Right, I think we're going to build here. So we'll get this down first, because we need to
Technology recharge.
pop the carbon in, copper in, and then that will transfer it to chromatic metal. Give that a moment. I'm going to build my base, I think, straddling this rock here. So we get that side and that side in the view. Low and back. That would be quite a view over there. Maybe up there. I haven't quite decided yet. But the base computer will allow us to go either way, so don't need to worry too much. Right. Let's head to the top of this mountain. And perfect, we've got a little plateau right here, which will be the perfect build spot. There we go, much better. So now we've got a nice 360 view, and then that view over there, which is awesome. So let's get this down. I'm going to plonk it down here, just so it's not in the way of where I'm going to be building. Stay in place.
Base computer online.
Okay, so first job we're going to do is rename the base. After this gives us a supply recipe, so let's get the plans. Great stuff. Okay. Rename this. Oh, hang on, it's not letting me do it. There we go. Character's slightly bugging out in the corner there. That should do though. So first piece can go there.
Weather warning. Incoming storm.
And that should be fine for them. I will run out of carbon. Yep, knew it. Right, okay, can I build a... No, I think you need actually 5 on, don't you? Right. Right, do. Sit down here.
Life support power.
Right, jump in my starship, and then what we're going to do is... say that's part one. I will be continuing this either later tonight or tomorrow during the day / evening. But I'll be back probably after I've had some food, maybe within the next hour, to play some Biomutant, because there's been a new patch that was released today, so keen just to continue the progress in that, and then, as I say, potentially jump back into this if there's enough time. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But for the time being, I'm going to leave that here, and then we'll be able to get the base built and just continue experiencing the stuff that's been added over the last couple of updates, because they're the things that I've not experienced myself yet. So thank you very much for those of you who have tuned in. If you are watching this on playback as well, thank you as well. And don't forget to visit our various different sites, either on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever it is you may find us, and follow and subscribe wherever you can. So thanks again for the smoke, guys, and I will catch you shortly for Biomutant. Thanks again. Bye bye.